There's the intro. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so grateful to be here with my beautiful friend and soul sister, Michelle Soro. And while folks are tuning in and gathering up, we'll just take a minute and I just want to be in gratitude to be with you today, Michelle, before I do the introduction and all that good stuff. I want to take a quick second and acknowledge you and all that you are. Just in case there's somebody on the planet that doesn't know who you are, because you are out and about and fabulous. I want to tell everybody, first of all, welcome to everybody, and tell everybody who you are, who we have the privilege of being in communication with today, about Michelle and her Fire and Soul podcast, one of the top 10 in self-development, which is a huge feat in this crowded world, right? So congratulations. Fire and Soul is a weekly dose of spiritual principles, personal development, and business guidance. It's creating an impact and fulfillment of your dreams with no hustle, grit and grind, more ease and grace. Thank you. And flow. I'll take extra helpings of that, please. Host Michelle Soro is a former TV host turned high six-figure heart-centered entrepreneur and transformational trainer. Shares real talks and global game changers, spiritual luminaries, and high performance experts in this unfiltered and transformational podcast, featuring insights from A-listers like Jack Canfield, Panache Desai, Dave Asprey, Danielle Laporte, Natalie Ledwell, Jarek Robbins, Joseph McClellan. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Preston Smiles and more, as well as many self-development masterclasses. She's got a lot we're going to talk about, all you're into. And each episode is designed to empower you and to empower you to take immediate action, inspired action for cultivating an epically aligned life. Hello to that. Wow.
So nicely done. That was a mouthful. Thank you for that.
Wow. Whoa. It's like, wow, this is who I get to be in communication with today. What an honor. What a privilege.
Thank you, my friend. I feel the same. The moment that I met you on before the shuttle, in Costa Rica at the Liberia airport.
That's right.
Flown in, right? It was late at night because there's only two direct flights from Los Angeles. And there was John Jacob, and I didn't know you yet, or that we had so much in common from Agape and you being a practitioner and all the things.
Right.
And you got to meet my mom and I in that moment. It was like probably, 10:30 at night or something.
Yeah,
and we got the privilege of an hour drive from the airport to the compound known as Rhythmia, the most magical place. And that was there. You got to see all my worst fears come out, as well as some other stuff. But I loved you. You had me at hello, my friend.
It was mutual love at first sight. Really, really. And we drove in, and you were so like curious, right? There was this curiosity, and as I was actually thinking about that moment, was I didn't know you. I didn't know who you were. And then we got to know each other, and I just knew you as this beautiful being. And then later I got to see who you are in the world, like the impact and the beneficial presence that you are in the world. It's like overwhelming. Like, oh, it's like I'm talking to a movie star. I'm talking to a superstar.
I feel the same about you. You were such an angel in that whole journey. And then it was a gift to realize that you were based in Los Angeles and actually, 5 miles from where I live here in Santa Monica. And so we've had the privilege of just continuing to stay friends. And we got to get another dinner on the books. And it's an honor to know you. I feel the exact same, my friend.
Thank you. Well, and so speaking of that, I'd love to know a little bit more about your experience at Rhythmia, because you came with a powerful group of people, and you were like lit up after that experience. So, tell me a little bit about your experience. I know you wanted to share a little bit about the Divine Feminine Night and just how that's continued to impact your life and in what ways.
Oh, God, I love that question because I don't get to talk about Rhythmia and my experience with Mama Ayahuasca enough in the world. Because I really do believe, and I think you guys share this as well in so many of your trainings there, which you're such a phenomenal teacher at Rhythmia, is, don't encourage people to come and take the plant medicine. It's either going to call them or it doesn't, right? But don't tell them, you got to do it, because when I come back from something that's lit me up and changed my life, I want everybody in the world that I know, or that I don't even know, to go try it. And it's like, that's a very special thing. And I'll tell you, speaking of my podcast, and thank you for mentioning it, when I had Dr. Jeff, one of the co-founders and the medical officer of Rhythmia, on my podcast, maybe like a few days later, it was my top download of 2019 to date.
Wow.
I mean, bar none. And then I had Jerry, co-founder, on, I think 2 weeks later, and it was right there with Dr. Jeff. And I was like, my listeners want to know about plant medicine. And this was a surprise to me because I just wanted to share with them. Never said you got to go. But I think to date, maybe 24 of my friends and network have booked. Of course, everybody's being sidelined and waylaid because of COVID. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And then I get to hear, their experience when they come back. So to share mine in a shorter version, because all of that's on the podcast. If anyone's interested, you can get the full debrief. I give every vivid detail. I didn't come into Rhythmia very excited and very willing, to be honest.
Really?
I was scared. As you probably may recall from our shuttle ride from the airport to Rhythmia. But my mom put it down at the top of her bucket list from the moment that Rhythmia opened its doors. And when Jack Canfield, who was on my podcast last spring, invited me, or I invited myself, I can't recall how that conversation went. It might have been the latter. I was so blown away and touched at the invite. And I was also shocked that this 74-year-old legend was trying ayahuasca, and that he was saying that it was just taking him to a whole other realm of what his, 40-year practice of meditation could do. So long story short, Mama Ayahuasca, just kept nudging me in weird ways. Like, I renamed my podcast Fire and Soul 2 months later to commemorate my 1-year anniversary. No reason why to do that, but it was revealed to me when I got to Rhythmia in my first journey. Why? So all these things, I get the chills even talking about it. If I were to talk about my experience as a whole, I would say that I faced some of my deepest fears. I healed some of my deepest wounds. I went back several lifetimes ago on night 3, the night you're talking about. For those who aren't aware, at Rhythmia, you get a full week of glorious God country, God energy, just the divine in all its glory. From the staff, from the moment you set foot under the shuttle to the moment that you leave, and you don't want to leave, and it's just bliss. It's bliss. The flowers and the landscaping seems to be like another color. The food, the staff, everything is so beautiful. And so there's 4 nights of journeys. There's Monday through Thursday, or at least that's how it was when I went there. And on the 3rd night, we had this beautiful female shaman by the name of Sarah come in and do what's called the Divine Feminine Night. And all the ladies are encouraged to wear white. And I was just so in my flow. I was just feeling my feminine essence, which I know a lot of women out there, especially if you're accomplished or busy or an entrepreneur or a mom or all the things, it's so vital to be able to tap into that. So I thought I was going to have a night of like pure bliss, like my mom's journeys were like she was just kind of just zoning out and tripping out on like neon purple and like one word trust for 5 hours. That was her trip. That was not quite that way. I got what I needed though. But the Divine Feminine Night was my most intense night. I was shown very clearly that my element is fire. I was taken back a lifetime, and I hope this works, this conversation. I'm sure it does if it's Rhythmia talk.
Yeah, right.
I was taken back into multiple lifetimes ago where I was an African queen. It was more like a priestess. Yes. I was wearing a big, tall gold headdress with, of course, all the jewels.
I love
it. Very deep red velvet gown with thigh-high lace-up boots. Sexy queen.
Sexy queen.
And as I was running my kingdom in pure grace and love and compassion, but power, I realized that I had the power of releasing fire, almost like as a dragon, from my fingertips. So I thought it was real, but it turns out it was a journey, but it all feels so real. I got out of my bed in the Maloka, so I was able to rise up, and I walked into the center of the room, and I thought this actually really happened, and I knew Jack Canfield and his wife Inga were somewhere in the room, and my first person for me to reach, I was told, was Jack Canfield, rise up. And I had all this fire coming out of my hands. I was like, whoa. And then I was like trying it with the other hand. And it was so real, right? And that's when I realized that is the power of spirit. That is the power of God when we get out of our own way and we get out of our comfort zone and we're a little bit brave, one action at a time. And we're bold because we all have that within us. And it doesn't have to be intense like the light warrior that I am. It could be the light worker, right? Where you're more behind the scenes, but we all need to work together. And I realized that I was playing small by not rising up. So when you invited me onto this, it was like, this is full circle. Because my whole theme this year, especially during COVID, has been rise up, my friends. Now more than ever. You're made for more. Let's be seen. Let's be heard. Let's be visible. And that's what it's been ever since.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, there's so much in what you shared. I'm like, I could, it's another whole podcast, another whole interview. But so a couple of things I want to hit: the rise up piece and the bravery piece. And I also noticed on your about section in your website, you were talking about how you've designed this life that is beyond your wildest dreams because you chose to be brave.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the ways in which you chose to be brave?
So I don't know if the quote is actually Rhythmia's or Jerry's or if it came from Mrs. Moon or not. You'll have to let me know. I'd love to know right now. You guys have a quote, I think, on your website and all over Rhythmia. It's the universe rewards the brave.
Yes, the universe rewards bravery. It's one of our the big four, which is what we teach in that opening workshop, and how to work with the medicine.
The Lord does it. Because everything you're afraid of, right? Like you teach us so beautifully how to go toward the fear, right? Because what's coming is what's going. In other words, if it's coming up, it's because you're here to heal it. It's here for you to heal and dissolve it, neutralize it, and see it as a beautiful gift in your arsenal of strength, right? And just getting bolder and braver. So I've been thinking a lot about bravery because I coach a lot of people. I run the Live Video Mastery, which I'm in collaboration with Jack Canfield and Jay Shetty and John Lee Dumas. I mean, like some pretty big global changers. As of this year, Mama Ayahuasca, showed me I'd be doing all that. She showed me I would be coaching and training world leaders. Literally 3 weeks after we returned, I was coaching a U.S. presidential candidate for the primary election this year. So this has just been all just pretty bizarre. And I wasn't afraid of it, but I knew that I had to step into another realm, which is what she was showing me was my heritage. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now not everyone gets that gift, and I get it. However, everybody has the ability to be brave. If you just chunk it down and take one little bite-sized piece of bravery at a time, it's called action. And it's as simple as that. Anything that you're feeling afraid of, just take one little step outside your comfort zone, and then it'll feel a little bit more comfortable. Not unlike when you were crawling and learning how to walk, right? It was like one leg up, and you were kind of rocking back and forth, and then you fall down, right? And then you try it again. What if we gave up? Because it took bravery to stand up.
Yes.
Right? So it's just those simple things. We look back on our life and we're like, success leaves clues. What do I do now that in the 4 stages of learning, I have an unconscious competence, right? Where can I look at that and say, if I could do that, then I can do this. And see, and I think that right now, there's never been a more vital time than conscious, heart-centered leadership to rise up, especially after these 4.5 months of being in quarantine, and specifically here in the States. It's been an opportunity to self-reflect. What do I want? And my guess is we want to give more, we want to grow more, we want to contribute more, we want our life to have more meaning. But that requires a level of bravery that you are recalling from my website. When I got that hit, a Tony Robbins seminar called Date with Destiny 2.5 years ago, just happened to change my freaking life. I knew that it would, but I didn't know at that level.
Right.
And I was like, oh God, I knew it as I dropped to my knees, literally and metaphorically, like all the things. Started sobbing, like, okay, I get it. It's not TV hosting anymore. That's so significance driven. But what? And the first nudge was, it's a podcast. And it's like, but then what? And it was just like, just do one thing at a time. So to answer the question is, one little step of action at a time. Don't worry about all the rest. See, we get so caught up in the how that bogs it down, right? Or we get so caught up in the expectation of a year, 18 months, 3, 5 years down the road that we're like, oh God, it's all too much. How am I going to ever do that? If I look back on my life, having started 2+ years ago, I'm shocked at all that's been accomplished. But as I was getting started, it was smaller. And it was just little bite-sized pieces. And I just kept going and I was consistent. Then I look back and I'm like, wow, it really does work that way. So now I believe in that more than anything.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And yes, I love that instruction around just taking action.
Yeah.
The first step, and beginning. And also, you pointed out to something really important, which is um, what I call shape shifting, right? Like it's like there's
Yeah.
an area in your life where you are brave. There are areas, we all have areas where, yeah, I'm doing really well here. I'm stepping out here. I'm taking chances, and maybe in this area, but I'm not over here. Can I move some of that energy? Because I think you had referred to that when you were talking. Like I'm doing this. Can I just apply that a little bit over here? And we begin to kind of shift that energy of accomplishment in one area over to the area where we're feeling a little less accomplished.
Exactly, or confident, right? And so people always say, like, okay, I know that you have this confidence or this certainty around live video and all the things you do, podcasting and leading groups and changing lives. And it's like, yeah, but it didn't start that way. And nobody that we admired started that way, right? It's like I always say, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Like when I first launched my podcast,
Great. I
I
love that.
almost didn't publish it. And then, in fact, the next day called my podcast producer and said, take it down, take it down. We've made a huge mistake, because I got scared again. So I relate to all the fears and the imposter syndrome and the insecurities. Why? Because I started comparing myself to Oprah. Right? Like,
That's a high bar.
30 years in. Yeah. Like, no, hold on, wait a second. You are you, and you're just starting. But when you have been a slave to perfectionism and or lusting after everyone's approval your whole life, which was basically me before December of 2017, that was a radical shift. And everybody's concerned with what will people think, right? Will they approve of me? Does this fit with my identity online, right? All the things. And what's required right now to rise up is you can't give an F about any of that. And if you lead with love, if you serve from your soul, from your heart that's aligned, and it's not about significance, it's not about what others will think. It's like, you're on a mission to help, to serve, to give. Even if it's one person, you've done your job. And that's all that's required. It's just step out of the comfort zone, one little baby toe at a time.
Now, this was so powerful in what you're saying, and I noticed this recently on my own in some of my own like, okay, so I started to I decided I'm going to take up golf. During this, why not try and learn something new? But I love this, whether it's golf or whether it's in my movements. Exercise / movement training, that when I'm trying something new in this area of my life, like let's say it's movement or let's say it's golf, I didn't realize how concerned I was about what others think. When I'm at the driving range and someone's standing behind me and I, waiting, like, and I finally, had to say, I'm at the driving range to get better. Right?
Yes.
That's what we're doing. But the realization of, wow, how impactful my awareness of what I think other people's awareness is of me. And we've been doing a lot of work.
Exactly. The good news is, and thank you for that honesty and that vulnerability, because that gives people permission to also be so honest, right? Is that you're not alone. I have it, you have it. It's a fundamental belief, probably around the globe with all of humanity, which is that we're not enough. Right? We're not enough. So just play it small. You've gotten to 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever it is, where you're like, this is my house, this is my job, this is my life, and this is what I show on social media. And it's like, ooh, times have changed. And especially during this pandemic, everybody wants real authenticity. Yes. They just want you to just like be vulnerable and share from your soul. That's what's working. It's working high level marketing. Right? Because we have no choice. Virtual times are here. There's no turning back. Yes. Did you know, and I know that we're not using Zoom right now, but just to give an example of our virtual times, and loud and clear, because really it's been shut down since March. So sorry for all the lives that can't be changed right now. But it's more opportunity to get excited about when you do get to go. Because my trip was postponed as well, but it'll be next year. Is that they went from 10 million active users in March of 2020 to over 300 million daily participants within 6 weeks by the end of April. If that's not a sign of where things are headed, I mean, so it's time to just let it all go, right? You can't use a filter with Zoom and Skype and, eCam and whatever these things are. So just allow yourself to be visible exactly as you are, because you love yourself. By the way, that takes another whole level of bravery.
I just thought of this, and I'm going to throw it out there. I wasn't planning to ask this question, but did you see the documentary on Walter Mercado?
No, but it sounds like I need to.
Oh my God. Okay, so he was like this Telemundo superstar for 50 years. He was this psychic. He was like a Liberace psychic, right? Like
Oh, cool.
total, like he'd come on the camera to be like, totally,
Zoolander.
totally, and the capes and but everybody in Latin America, from Brazil to Colombia to Spain to around the world, knows him. He's huge. He was like, when you watch the documentary, you'll be amazed. But the thing that was so touching, I watched it last night, was exactly what you're saying. Here's this guy that broke all the rules. He was completely amorphous. You couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman. He's just passed away recently, but the millennial and younger love him for his gender neutral, non-conforming presentation, right? So he's like so relevant now.
Yeah.
And he didn't follow any of the rules on how to be a mega superstar and touch millions and millions and millions of lives. And what touched me so much was it was just exactly what you said, a genuine, authentic expression of who he was, even in the face of a misogynistic and completely homophobic Latin culture, right? And he busted open. I mean, Bill Clinton. I mean, you should watch the video. Like, he's with Clinton. He's with huge dignitaries and prime ministers and all over the place. So I just want to throw that out there. Okay.
I absolutely will. Okay, I'll text you later to get the name of that documentary. Unless you want to tell me again, I'll remember it.
It's just called Mucho Mucho
Walter,
Amor.
Walter Mercado.
Walter Mercado, Mucho Mucho Amor. Because he would sign off his thing going.
Excellent.
And the thing is, in spite of all of the fabulous, everything, he spoke truth. When you hear the principles, he's like, well, that's just the truth.
That's just beautiful.
So
beautiful.
And it was inspiring because it really it nailed what you had said. Like, just being yourself, vulnerable, without a filter, is what attracts people.
100%. It's how I've built my business. I've never spent dollars on Facebook ads or marketing. I had an email list of under 1,000. It's actually still only a little north of that. I didn't do anything the way you're supposed to do it and that everyone teaches you how to do it on Instagram. I just went with my soul and my heart, and I was pretty relentless about it. Now, there is that, right? Once I got the hit of bravery, I just stayed consistent. But I also know when to unplug. And I know when to recharge, because I've learned that's super vital for me. Mm-hmm. So I'll go super full tilt like a puppy, right? And then I crash, maybe for 2 days at a time. But that's what works for me. And I've learned also in these past 6-7 months where to say no, where to say yes. I can't tell you, since Rhythmia, this is the thing that's really blown me away the most. And I've shared this with a handful of people, and they're like, really? It's like, yes, and you have this capability too. You'll have to let me know if this is how you operate too, JJ, which is, when I'm contemplating dating someone, taking on a business partner, starting a new program, traveling somewhere, going to have lunch with a friend, so anything, right? Mm-hmm. I will close my eyes and I'll take a few deep breaths. And I know if the energy is expansive, which is a yes, it feels unstoppable and limitless. And it feels tight and tense, and it's almost like it's in contraction if it's a no. And there's no in between. It's either a yes or no. Now, if it's a yes on, let's say, dating, it doesn't mean we're going to get married or we need to be exclusive. It's just, go check that out. Get on the phone, you know what I mean? Or, nope, it's done. You've had your phone calls. You had a couple dates, and that's complete. That's all that was, right? So I don't have to, get in the head about it. In other words, Spirit is guiding me at all times.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
It's so beautiful. And we have that wisdom. All we have to do is just unplug, stop distracting, get quiet, take a couple deep breaths. All of our power is our peace, our epic alignment with mind, body, and soul. But we're so clouded by everything else that we don't give our body to just express to us the truth, which is so simple.
So this is so beautiful, and it leads right into one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is, as you said, we keep ourselves mired in confusion, right?
Yeah.
What are the spiritual practices? What are your daily practices, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, that you do to keep yourself epically aligned?
Such a great question, JJ. I wouldn't say anything's daily. I'm not that consistent with my spiritual practice. However, I'd like to be more. I am more now than ever. But in an ideal scenario, I wake up fairly early. For me, early is like between 6:30 and 7 p.m. And I'm going to do about 15, 20 minutes of a morning routine, all prime. What does that look like for me? It's getting my eyes closed, taking deep breaths. I got the animals on the bed. First, just giving thanks for a great night's sleep, for waking up to like maybe like cold, foggy air here in Santa Monica, which I happen to love. Um, and then I'll think of very specific moments, and I'll really live in them. Like my mom comes up for me all the time since Rhythmia. We sat on a chaise lounge together, like, all squeezed in one little chaise lounge near the pool. Yeah. And it was like maybe night 4 or night 5. So we were in it. And we just kind of watched the cloud formations it felt like hours, just laughing and giggling and seeing the same things and making up stories, but just so connected, heart to heart, soul to soul, effortless energy and connection between us. So that always makes the list, as well as many, many other things. And then I think of like 3 to thrive. What do I really want to create? And it's as simple as, how do I want my day to go? What's the energy you want to bring into every call, every meeting, every encounter? And it's joy, peace, and contentment, which is what Raven, my shaman at Rhythmia, showed me on the final night. And we're still connected on WhatsApp. Don't be jealous. Oh. And then it's exercise. Like I'll get the animals fed, and I like to do some sort of exercise. Lately, I've been obsessed with my bike, so I'll ride the bike on the bike path or up mountains or wherever. Mountains.
Okay, we're going bike riding. Yeah. We're going bike. I'm riding up to see you, and we're going to go for a ride.
I just rode to Marina Del Rey like 2 weeks ago. I would love to ride down there and just continue, or we meet halfway. Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Okay, done. Sorry.
Okay. So the morning routine is really important, but here's the thing. It doesn't end just because the morning routine is over. Right. If you want an epically aligned life, it's nonstop. So it's managing your emotions. What I've learned lately is that there's no more important superpower than peace. Am I always there? No. If I'm honest, I'm there most of the time, not all the time. Add some peace and joy, and it's the perfect cocktail for humanity, right? And so I'm just noticing, as I'm monitoring, how emotionally fit am I right now? Am I more reactive because I'm stressed, or am I peaceful despite the busy schedule, right? So it's like, am I flowing, or is it more staccato? So I'm always aware. And when I have those days where I'm like, I wrapped a whole day and I didn't get triggered and I wasn't in reaction and I didn't feel stressed or overwhelmed by the schedule, and I was just giving great thanks for every single call and every meeting and every person who's decided to invest with me to guide them along their journey, to free them up so they could rise up. It's like, what a beautiful day. Thank you, God. This is my dream. Other days when it feels more stressful, thank you, God, I'm living my dream. So it's gratitude always. But of course, it's a matter of, what did I put in my body? What did I feed my mind? What kinds of conversations was I in that will dictate my emotional fitness? So that's why I'm so hyper aware of what feels expansive and what doesn't. But I'll tell you, Jerry's lives here and your lives here, it taps me right back into, you get to choose to be in peace no matter what, girlfriend. You can't blame it on a busy schedule or what you ate last night. You can still choose peace. And that's like the biggest message that I think we could offer during this pandemic is you can choose peace and joy and love and connection and expansion, all of it, if you're willing.
Yes. So, one of my questions was, what's your superpower? And peace, right?
Yeah.
So how do we, like, here's one of those rubber meets the road questions. How do we, when we're having that stressful moment, noticing, like, okay, I'm aware, I'm noticing, all right, I'm out of alignment, or not I'm out of alignment, but I'm stressed, I'm triggered, I'm reactive. Yeah. What are the techniques that you use to come back or not?
Yeah, I'll offer you what has happened for me in the past two and a half years. First of all, I'd say figure it out before you're in the moment. You know what is your favorite flavor of suffering, right? Is it anger? Is it rage? Is it, forget about the way you numb it out and cope with it, right? Forget about that. Let's just go to the root cause. Or that's not even the root cause. It's the first sort of like coping. So the rage, the anger, the overwhelm, the procrastination, the apathy, whatever that is, you got to know, like mine was stress and overwhelm. And so it'll still come to get me. I would say 20% of the time, if I'm really honest, 80% of the time, I'm able to figure it out and just kind of flow. And that feels like a massive win for me. But 2.5 years ago, I was 80. stress,
Mm-hmm.
20% peace.
Wow.
So I like to measure my progress, and I like to really celebrate my the progress. So first is get clear. You know what it is. And then immediately, do you grab the cocktail or the cigarette, or do you grab like the pot or whatever it is, the food, all of these coping mechanisms that some of us have been overindulging in through this pandemic. Yes, that was me. I had 10 pandemic pounds on. I'm happy to say as of this morning, they are now gone. There's still more to go, but
darling, you look
marvelous. Like, oh, yeah, exactly. But so the first thing is to get clear on what's your favorite flavor of suffering. And for me, it was like, if I'm constantly in an overwhelm, then I'm never going to be able to be productive and to flow and to be in that ease and grace. So now when I catch it coming on, the easiest access is to recognize it, name it, and that shows in research, Brene Brown and all the people talk about it, you can transmute it by just identifying, oh, hey, rage, oh, hey, stress, oh, hey, overwhelm. Right? Because a few weeks ago, I'm not proud to admit this, I flipped an old man off that was enraged at me for not wearing a mask as we were in line for an outdoor patio seating at a restaurant. And I was so mad that he was in my business. This is before the actual mandate came through here in California that it's required anywhere you go outside. And I was triggered because I had bad food and alcohol the night before, so I was depleted. And I at one point, as we were parting ways, I flipped him off. And I'm like, so the next day I cried because I was feeling so bad about that and so ashamed. And I sent a prayer of like, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Right? The Nomo or whatever it is. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Yes.
Right? That's just so beautiful. And I realized that was nothing to do with him. It was me and my own reaction to the day, to the stress, to trying to get the bikes locked up and not wanting to be told what to do. Another thing about me and the old stuff was this sort of entitlement righteousness, which we all have, right? And I was like, wait a second. He was just scared. And he wanted me to play by the rules. He had every right to say that. How I reacted was on me. But see, that's one microcosm of how do we go through life?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we could just all collaborate and cooperate and give each other a little bit more grace, we're going to give ourselves more grace. And that could actually make me drop to my knees with just tears of like, look, we got to be more compassionate with one another, and mostly with ourselves, so that we have the capacity to be more compassionate with others. So I'd say start with yourself. Just begin to monitor how you're reacting. Don't judge it. For God's sakes, don't judge it. Just become aware of it, right? And then track it. Be like, okay, if you could do that over, how would you do it differently? And then try again. That's
beautiful, beautiful. So, I love the mission-driven life, and you write about mission. You write about, and I loved your mission, right? To empower millions to be seen and heard, right? Which just has such a broad implication on people who are suppressed and not being seen and heard, right? All sorts of implications for what's going on today in the world, right? So it's just such a timely and powerful mission and inspired action, right? This idea of massive inspired action. I love that phrasing, from an awakened soul, right? These are words from your website and from your, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm interested in knowing what your go-to principle is, right? So first, as you just shared, there's becoming aware and naming it, preloading it, like understanding, like I know this is my trigger point. I know that this happens, right? So understanding all of that, and then there's a for me, I have to do some self-talk, and a lot of that for me are principles. So I'm wondering if you have.
What's yours? Give me an example of what your top go-to principle is.
Look at you turning it around on me. So my go-to principles are everything always works out for me. That's the first one. Everything always works out for me. I'm supported beyond. I'm loved and adored beyond imagination.
I love that,
because this is not loved and adored by people. Loved and adored by the presence. Right? That there is something that's whose eyes are too pure to perceive any inequity. Doesn't see it. Can't see that part of me. Only sees the best. Loved and adored beyond imagination. Everything always works out for me. And then I'm open and available to more good than I've ever imagined, created, or manifested before. Those are
Yes.
my
See, I'm
go-tos.
so glad that you told me, and those are so beautiful and powerful. It makes me love you even more. It's because I wanted to get a framework of
Sure.
what a principle meant for you, right? Because in this space of spiritual and self development, it could be a million different things, and I realize you're totally cool with however that answer might have come up for me. But there's a few for me. Always, first and foremost, is life is happening for me, never to me.
Yes,
So the
beautiful.
moment that COVID-19 hit and we went into our mutual friend Natalie Ledwell, co-founder of Mind Movies, would said, "It's not lockdown, it's delightfully homebound." And I was like, yes, that's it. My life didn't change much at all, by the way, because I work from home. In
Right.
fact, my home is in the middle of a remodel, so I don't have my art or anything up right
Woo.
now. I know.
You are the art,
But
baby.
so thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. By the way, one of the ladies that I met, a dear friend named Kim, she gave me these beautiful bracelets while at Rhythmia, so I wore them for this
Really
conversation.
cool. Beautiful.
Just to kind of bring it all home because I'm really thinking about her lately. So hi, Kim, I love you. Anyway, life is happening for you, never to you. When COVID-19 hit, it was March 19th here in the States where we got the mandatory, delightfully housebound rules. I immediately went into I was supposed to launch a new program, and it was like, am I going to pivot this? How's this going to work? I can't be toned up to what's happening. And so I actually did sit on it for about 3 or 4 weeks, but that was eternity when I was supposed to have launched it, or start going into launch mode the next 2 weeks.
Right.
And then I just started looking at a few mentors that were not deciding that business was down, life was over. This is just like a big, nightmare. We're not going to be able to make money. We'll just have to ride this out. It's like, we don't know if this is 3 months, 6 months, 18 months. We still don't know. And so I was like, nope, I'm just going to pivot everything and niche down so I can reach my ideal client avatar right now. And I say this with humility, but it's because I did the work and I was brave and I wasn't toned up. And I tuned into what my soul was saying, which again speaks to that epic alignment of, was it a yes because it was expansive, or was it, there was some, I don't really know. And if it's an I don't really know, then it's not a yes. I mean, it's just very clear for me.
I love that.
I don't have to have no, no, no. It's just, if it's not a yes, which is expansive and free and flowing, then it's not now. That's it, right? Same thing for men. So anyway, and so I actually did launch one of my signature courses, Live Video Mastery, and I had the biggest enrollment I've had to date. And then we sold out another program I run called the Podcast Accelerator.
Right.
These programs, live video and podcasting, that we take all of our clients through, our members through, that is the essence of my mission of empowering millions to be seen and heard, right? Through live video, getting your services out there and understanding how to speak about them through the art of podcasting and having a platform. The other thing that I say is, my dog is being dropped off from the groomer. Thank you, Rainer. It was supposed to happen 20 minutes ago or whatever. But I love you. Oh, he looks so good. Okay.
Can we get a cameo?
There's 2 mantras, my love. This is what served me for 2 full years, whether I was on extra selling product or QVC or working with my clients or one-on-one with my clients, including presidential candidates and Fortune 500 CEOs or stay-at-home moms. It was this. How can I serve love even more right now?
I love it.
That changed my life. But recently, it's kind of morphed into something else. I still love that, and it's still there. And it's like an affirmation, kind of like what you were sharing, which is, I am deeply loving, I'm calm and courageous, and able to create deep connection. And that's because I really want to bring in like an intimate, deep, loving, aligned, romantic relationship with my dream man.
Me too.
So that's putting it out there to the universe. We will.
There's one
right?
for each of us.
But as Rumi says, we have to look for all the barriers that are up against, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, what are we resisting to invite this love in? I don't think anything anymore. It just comes down to discernment. There's a lot of energy coming my way right now. No surprise when you live in your queen and you're flowing,
which is a great interview I listened to.
Men are attracted to that. But it comes down to me knowing who's right for me, where I am at this stage in my life, and what could be a powerful, purposeful partnership. But so life is happening for me, never to me. How can I serve love even more right now? And just remembering and declaring that you can be wildly courageous and calm. See, lately what I've been into is, ladies, don't step into your masculine to get these things done and to take the action and to be brave. You can be in your feminine flow and be so powerful. You can be grounded in your confidence, and that will give you the world in terms of an opportunity to serve and to give even more.
So great. So great.
Mm.
So, I definitely want to say your offerings, live video mastery, podcast accelerator, fire and soul accelerator. You can check all of that out on michellesoro.com, correct? Is that the
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I'd love to know what is something that in your program, any one of those programs did for a client that you didn't expect? What was an unexpected outcome from some clients that you've worked with?
Depends. What kind of outcome would you like to hear? Because I've got over 100, right? Do you want to hear a monetary outcome? It's all a personal
What comes to
transformation.
really like just something that you didn't expect? Like you're expecting them to.
Okay, I didn't expect this. Okay, I didn't expect this. This was a client who came to me late February through a referral. She owns a very high-end luxury travel company. She's like 40 years old, self-made, and she works predominantly in the British Virgin Islands and all the fancy places, right? And so she had built her business through, traditional ads and marketing. She came to me because she was going to tape a TV pilot show for her adventure in building this business, because everything she does has a philanthropic element with the locals. And so it's so cool. Like they'll work with like an orphanage or with like a rescue shelter or whatever. So it's beautiful and it's full circle. And she meditates, and she's actually coming to Rhythmia. She booked, but she got postponed as well. I referred her. So her name is Shanna Dickerson. Blue Sky Travel, Luxury Travel is the name of her company. And when she came to me, it was just to learn some camera confidence so that when she shot the TV pilot in 2 weeks in the BVIs, she'd be prepared. Awesome. So we did one session. She's making progress, but she bought 3. By the second session, we got the lockdown. No travel to the BVIs. So she was like, do we postpone? And I was like, we could, or we could pivot, and we could actually help you master the art of camera confidence so that you could get out from behind the lens on your Facebook group, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, where she has a decent following. Nothing crazy, but maybe 50, 60,000 people total. So not the millions, not the hundreds of thousands. But see, all those people on her Facebook page or whatever, they're just used to seeing fancy aerial photography of the $100 million yacht or the villas or whatever. They had never seen this beautiful, natural, down-to-earth soul come out from behind the marketing to say, hey, this is my company. I built it. I'm actually getting the chills as I share it. And I said, would you be willing to, not because I'm so awesome, but because her story is so great. And I said, not the chill. And I said, would you be willing to try 30 days in a row? Just do 2-3 minutes. Keep it light. Because she's really, really healthy. Like she's insanely beautiful and the whole thing, She lives her brand, right? It's just pure health. And I said, just show us how to make an immune boosting smoothie, which was really big when COVID hit, right? Like, or whatever. Or like take us through a little journey of at-home racquetball, or whatever. So she did. And here's the fun thing that shocked the heck out of me, and it's now I love these stories, and I'm getting more and more of these. She was like, she did not want to do it. Skeptical. I don't do live video. Nobody does live video. I do fancy photography. We spend tens of thousands of dollars on our marketing. Like, I could never do that. And I was like, yeah, and yet things have shifted. So we're living in new times, girl. And I said, trust me to be your guide. Just come out from behind the scenes. I wouldn't say this to everyone, but you're so incredible. All you had to do is get through the awkward stage of being on camera live with no net, but you're cool enough. You're brave enough. Rise up, girlfriend. So she did. And within about 2.5, 3 weeks, she got a message from someone on LinkedIn who said, well, I've been watching your videos and I've been following you for a couple of years. I've always had some other companies that I was booking my luxury travel with, but I'd like to book with you. That happened a couple times. Within literally 7 days' time, she booked $650,000 worth of pre-booked travel for the end of this year. Boom! Off of doing live videos because
in the middle of COVID. That's amazing.
In the midst of COVID. And by the way, she also fell in love. They're actually in Greece right now. Yeah. So he saw her video. He's like, I've been following you for 2 years. I never knew you. Thank you for showing who you are. He actually lives 3 blocks from me in Santa Monica. I'm like, wait, where was he? And now they're like inseparable. It's been like 3.5 months, and I don't know what's going to happen, but they think they're in love. And so all because she was brave enough to rise up and to come out from behind the perfectly produced, fancy photography, show herself, do what her competitors were not doing, which is to come on live and say, you know what,
Right.
let's build rapport. Let's build a connection with some of these people that I've been, friends with, but I don't really know, or maybe they're not clients. I mean, it was a phenomenal testimonial, but that's something that really shocked me because the numbers were big, yes, but also because she went from such resistance, and that wasn't why we started. And then she just was willing, again, bite-sized little pieces of bravery at a time. And she was so uncomfortable in the beginning. But where she was then and where she is now, she's a pro, all because she practiced. Progress, progress, progress.
Love it. Love it. And I love the, the willingness, right? Willingness and yes, everything is contained within our willingness and our yes.
Always.
I have so many other questions that I'd want to ask you. That I have written down here, and the conversation has been so fabulous. But I have one more that I definitely want to get in before we close this, because you are such a amazing speaker, great interviewer. Your podcasts are amazing. I love all, and you just have so much experience in this field. So I'll tell you a quick little joke. We always say, never judge another person until you walk a mile in their shoes.
Yes.
And once you've walked a mile in their shoes, remember, you're a mile away and you have their shoes. But if you were in my shoes, isn't that a great? I love that.
Yes.
If you were in my shoes, what's the one question that you would have asked that I didn't ask?
Oh, that's a great question. I might add that to my podcast conversations. What's lighting you up the most right now?
Oh my God, that was like one of them. Was like, what? Yeah. Okay. Well, so tell me, what's lighting you up most right now?
I have to think about this, but I'm pretty certain that even as I was forming the question in my head, it is my connection with my mom. You got to meet her at Rhythmia,
she's fabulous.
She's been through a lot these past couple of years, and she's such a fucking warrior. And she's so beautiful, and she's my sage. She's my guru. It's not perfect all the time, but it's more and more and more aligned and more perfect, especially after Rhythmia these past 2.5 years. I vowed to never take my love away from her again, and I swear by like 99%. I have been there because I used to run an old story that she didn't really like me, or it was just difficult around her, and I know a lot of people can relate. So if your parents are alive or dead, do yourself the favor and just forgive.
Yes.
Just live with that connection and gratitude for all they did, all they sacrificed, all they tried to do. They were trying at their highest and best level at all times. And when I look at her receiving me into her home for 8 full days, I just got home last night while my place is being remodeled. She took me in and my 2 cats and my dog and my bike named Lucy. And I'm busy. Like, I am very productive right now. I'm grateful. I knock on wood. My business has really expanded during these times because I learned how to pivot and I embrace these times and the absolute uncertainty, and I learned to make friends with it. But our connection and just getting to have like fireside chats where I'm just asking her questions that I've never asked her before, which, by the way, I encourage those of you who can ask your mom and dad or your spouse, like, questions you've never asked. Like, I've known her for all my life, and I don't want to assume that I know her. If she were to die tomorrow, like, I didn't know who her favorite standout spiritual teachers were, and I wanted to know who and why, right? And I was surprised at some of those answers, and she just really formed me. I wouldn't have gone to Rhythmia. I wouldn't have met you if it weren't for my mom putting that at the top of her bucket list. And after getting to spend 7 days with her and to get up at 5 a.m., and not every day with her, but that's when she gets up, and riding bikes and having those long talks and just learning how to flow with each other and love each other and appreciate each other and cherish each other. That's what's lighting me up the most right now. Is like, I'm hoping I get 25 more years with this beautiful soul, and I want them to be so high vibe, high quality, like never ever letting it be lost on me or taking her for granted for one single moment.
I have to tell you that the feed is lighting up with people so grateful for your authenticity. My father just transitioned in May.
I know.
And thank you. And I got to ask him all those questions. In fact, I asked him so many questions. At one point, he was like, "Quit asking me so many damn questions. You're taxing my mind." Exactly. But I know all those. I got to ask all those questions, and so I just so appreciate your authentic expression, and that is what's so real about you and what I love about you. And I'm so grateful for the generosity of your time, your willingness, who you are, and that we get to continue to play together in life and in love and in peace. And thank you for all the wisdom you dropped, and what a great time together. Thank you.
You guys, rise up.
Yes.
Right? Do not wait for the pandemic to be over. Do not wait for COVID-19 to be over. Do not wait to be given permission. It's time to rise. Let's do it, my friend. I'll see you very soon. Thank you for your time. I love you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you in a
moment.
An
honor.
Thank
Give
you,
Jerry and Jeff my love too.
Yes.
Okay. Take care, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you.